much for joining us here at What's the Bible Say for another Cheer Up episode. I'm Stephanie, and I'm here with my co-host, Rebecca.
There's a lot more good news out there than we're led to believe, and far too often we don't get to hear those because those stories don't make the headlines. But Proverbs tells us that a cheerful heart does good like medicine. So we want to take a few minutes every now and then to highlight those good things and cause you to cheer up and hopefully make your heart smile. Well, I love our story today. The other day, my daughter-in-law, Lauren, she was at the town center running some errands, and she noticed that walking across the parking lot was this little family of ducks, the mama duck and these 6 little baby ducklings. And so she thought they were so cute so she took a picture and she sent it to Chandler, our son, and to her husband. And she said, "Look at these ducks. Aren't they so cute?" So we have that picture for you. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, there's a picture of the little baby ducks. So when she finished running her errands, she headed back to her car and she could hear this quacking from the duck. And she looked down, and right in front of her car, that duck was pacing back and forth, just quacking to beat the drum in obvious distress. And so she looked around, and those little baby ducks were nowhere to be found. So she's like, "Oh no, something terrible has happened." And this mama is so upset, which of course made Lauren so upset. And so right in front of her car, there was one of those huge storm drains.
Oh.
And all 6 of those baby ducks had fallen in that storm drain.
Oh, no.
And that mama was just fit to be tied. And so Laura was like, she didn't know what to do. Like she couldn't leave the mom duck with these little ducklings, but yet she didn't know how to get him out. So she calls Chandler and she's like, I can't leave these baby ducks. I don't know what to do. And so Chandler says, "Well, call animal control, see if they can help her." So they call animal control and they couldn't help. They said, "We're sorry, that's not in our parameters," but they said it's not against the law for a citizen to destroy public property if you're trying to save a human or an animal. So she's like, "Okay, that's great," but she had no way to get in there and get the ducks out. So she calls Chandler back and he's like, "Well, what if we got a pool skimmer and maybe that would work? We could put it in the slats and get the ducks out." So she's like, "Well, I'm going to stay here and guard the spot." And so Chandler's like, "I'll run, go get the pool skimmer." So by this time, other people had noticed the commotion with the duck and then Lauren on the phone and trying to figure it out, that they kind of picked up on what was happening. So a couple people that were standing near, they said, "Look, we can help you lift that grate if you want." She's like, "Well, yeah, you guys think we can do it?" And like, "Sure, come on." So anybody who was willing, there were 2 big guys that were the main ones. So they each just grabbed what they could and they just yanked that thing up. And Lauren's like, "This thing was so heavy. There's no way somebody could have gotten that off by themselves." And then this one man, like, he takes his shoes off and he jumps right in there in the grate. And we have a picture of that man who is in the grate too. So now that he's down there, but he still had no way to get the ducks out. So, Lauren's like rummaging around in her car trying to figure out some way to put the ducks somewhere to put the ducks. So she finds this old shoebox and sure enough, that man scooped out every one of those little baby ducks in that shoebox. We have another picture of that for you. But one of them had gotten injured. Of course, they're dirty and filthy. And so I'm like, "Well, now what do you do? Because, you got these ducks." And by this time, the mama had been so upset with all the commotion, she got scared. And so she was circling up above, just, constantly circling over her little ducklings. So one of the men said, "Well, I'll take them over to that retention pond over there. The mama's up above. She knows where her ducks are. So we'll take them over there." And I'm like, "But what about the little baby that was hurt?" And so another man said, "Well, I know a vet who will take care of this duck." So he went ahead and he said, "Give it to me. I'll take it right now." And so in the end, they all lived happily ever after.
I love a happily ever after story.
Me
for
too.
sure.
I love this story on so many levels. I mean, of course, I'm very proud of Chandler and Lauren. Those of you that know Chandler, it was during the NCAA basketball game. So I'm super proud of him for saying, he'd be willing to leave that to go help his little wife in distress and these little ducks. But more than that, the big picture here is it's such a beautiful picture of community to me. I mean, no one person could do this job on their own. It required all of them just doing what they could to make this happen. And I love that so much.
I do too. It reminds me of Psalms 133:1 that says, "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for the brethren to dwell together." in
Mm.
unity. And what a great lesson that we can learn from this group of people in
Yeah.
particular. How wonderful would it be if you think about it that we would live our lives like that we would
Yeah.
tackle our problems together like that and our challenges that we have. Each one doing what we can and no one concerned about who gets credit.
Right.
This story really definitely warms my heart and definitely makes my heart smile. And it
Mm.
reminds me of a quote by Mother Teresa who said, I can do things you cannot.
Mm.
You can do things I cannot. But together, we can do great things.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for watching or listening today. And perhaps you have a fun or encouraging story that you would like to share. Send it to us at whatsthebiblesay.org, and maybe your story will be one that will lift up another and cause them to cheer up. Have a great day, everybody.